Is the Golden State Warriors front office making a critical mistake by chasing the wrong piece of the championship puzzle? While rumors swirl about a potential blockbuster trade with the Chicago Bulls, there's a glaring oversight that could derail their title aspirations before the season even begins. Warriors faithful, we need to have a serious conversation about what's happening in the front office right now. The Jonathan Kuminga saga has taken another dramatic turn, and the latest rumors coming out of league circles suggest that our beloved Warriors might be about to make a move that sounds good on paper, but completely ignores what this team actually needs to compete for another championship. According to NBA insider Jake Fisher, the Warriors' interest in Josh Giddey is genuine and has been brewing for quite some time. The Australian point guard, who's currently in restricted free agency limbo with the Chicago Bulls, has apparently caught the attention of Golden State's decision-makers. But before we get caught up in the excitement of potentially adding another talented playmaker, let's pump the brakes and examine whether this move actually makes sense. The Kuminga situation has reached a boiling point that nobody in Warriors Nation wanted to see. After adding Jimmy Butler last season, it became increasingly clear that Kuminga's role was becoming redundant. The young forward, who once seemed destined to be a cornerstone piece of the franchise's future, has reportedly made it known that he doesn't want to continue playing for the Warriors. That a gut punch for fans who watch him develop, and showed flashes of the superstar potential that made him such an intriguing prospect. The relationship between Kuminga and the organization has deteriorated to the point where both sides seem ready to move on. His reduced role before last season's playoffs sent a clear message about where he stands in the team's hierarchy, and it's become obvious that there's no path forward for him in the Bay Area. The Warriors have publicly stated they want to repair any broken bridges, but actions speak louder than words, and their actions have consistently shown that Kuminga isn't in their long-term plans. So here's where the Giddey connection comes into play. A straight swap between these two restricted free agents could theoretically work from a salary and logistics standpoint. Both players are looking for new opportunities. Both organizations seem willing to part ways with their respective assets, and the money could align a structure properly. On the surface, it's the kind of trade that generates headlines and gets fans excited about fresh possibilities. Giddey brings a unique skill set that would certainly be intriguing in a Warriors uniform. The 21-year-old Australian is a gifted passer who sees the floor exceptionally well and has shown the ability to stuff the stat sheet when given the opportunity. His basketball IQ is off the charts, and his size at 6 feet 8 inches gives him versatility to play multiple positions. In theory, pairing him with Stephen Curry could create some fascinating offensive combinations. But here's where we need to stop and ask the hard questions. Do the Warriors really need another playmaker? Let's take an honest look at the current roster construction. They already have Brandon Podziemski, who showed tremendous promise as a rookie and appears to be a key piece of their future plans. Stephen Curry, despite being 36, remains one of the most effective floor generals in the league. Jimmy Butler brings veteran leadership and clutch playmaking ability. The Warriors have also been linked to DeAnthony Melton in free agency, another guard who can facilitate and create for others. With all that backcourt depth and playmaking ability, is adding Giddey really addressing the team's most pressing needs? The answer becomes crystal clear when you look at what's happening in the front court. The Warriors are desperately lacking a legitimate, proven center who can anchor their defense and provide consistent interior presence. Draymond Green has been masterful in small ball lineups throughout his career, and his basketball IQ and defensive versatility remain elite. But relying solely on small ball in today's NBA, especially in the playoffs, is becoming increasingly difficult. Size and rebounding have become crucial factors for championship contenders, and the Warriors are severely lacking in both areas. This is where the Bulls connection becomes even more interesting, but for entirely different reasons than the Giddey rumors suggest. If Golden State is serious about making a deal with Chicago, they should be focusing their attention on Nikola Vucevic instead. The veteran center might not be a defensive stopper, but he brings exactly what the Warriors need: size, rebounding, and the ability to stretch the floor with his shooting. Hold up. Are we witnessing the most shocking NFL trade rumor of the offseason, or is this just another case of Pittsburgh throwing their hat into every ring until something sticks? The idea of Tyreek Hill in a Steelers uniform is absolutely mind-blowing. But let's pump the brakes for a second and really dig into what this would mean for both franchises. Because if this actually happens, we're not just talking about a player swap. We're talking about a seismic shift that could reshape the entire AFC playoff picture. First, let's address the elephant in the room. Jeremy Fowler's report isn't just casual speculation. When multiple teams are actively monitoring a player's situation and specifically mentioning him as a trade target, that's legitimate smoke. The fact that the Dolphins supposedly told teams earlier this summer that Hill wasn't available, but teams are still asking questions, tells you everything you need to know about how the league views Miami's commitment to their star receiver. But here's where this gets really interesting from Pittsburgh's perspective. The Steelers have already shown they're willing to make aggressive moves this offseason with the additions of DK Metcalf and Jalen Ramsey. They're clearly in win-now mode, and adding Hill will be the ultimate statement that they're going all in for a Super Bowl run. Think about what a Metcalf-Hill receiving duo would look like. You'd have Metcalf's size, physicality, and red zone presence paired with Hill's game-breaking speed and route-running precision. That's not just a good receiving core. That's potentially the most dangerous 1-2 punch in the entire NFL, and it would give Aaron Rodgers exactly the kind of weapons he needs to make one final championship push. The financial aspect is where this gets complicated, though. Hill's $27 million cap hit this year and $51.8 million next year are massive numbers that would require some serious salary cap gymnastics from Pittsburgh. But here's the thing. The Steelers have historically been very creative with their cap management, and if they believe Hill is the missing piece for a championship run, they'll find a way to make the numbers work. What's particularly intriguing is the timing of all this. Hill's relationship with Miami seems to be deteriorating. His production dipped last season, and he's entering that age range where teams start questioning whether they should commit long-term resources to aging skill position players. For Pittsburgh, this could be the perfect storm. A disgruntled superstar available at potentially below market value. The geographical and cultural fit is another factor worth considering. Hill grew up in Georgia and played college football in the South, but Pittsburgh represents something different. A blue-collar, championship-oriented organization with a proven track record of maximizing talent. The Steelers' culture of accountability and team-first mentality might be exactly what Hill needs at this stage of his career. From Miami's perspective, this trade would make sense for all the reasons we've discussed previously. They'd free up significant cap space, get assets in return for a player whose best days are likely behind him, and avoid the risk of Hill's value continuing to decline. The $15.5 million dead cap hit they'd take by releasing him after 2025 might be worth it if they can get quality draft picks or young players in return. But let's talk about what this would mean for the AFC as a whole. A Steelers team with Rodgers throw in a Metcalf, and Hill would instantly become one of the most dangerous offenses in the conference. The Kansas City Chiefs would have to take notice. The Buffalo Bills would have to adjust their defensive planning. The Baltimore Ravens would suddenly find themselves dealing with division rival that just got exponentially more dangerous. The Aaron Rodgers factor cannot be overlooked either. Rodgers has always thrived when he has elite weapons, and Hill represents exactly the type of receiver who could maximize the Hall of Fame quarterback skill set. Hill's ability to create separation and make contested catches would give Rodgers a kind of reliable target he's been missing, while Hill would benefit from Rodgers' legendary accuracy and ability to extend plays. There's also the revenge factor to consider. Hill has made it clear he's not entirely happy with the situation in Miami, and joining a potential championship contender like Pittsburgh will be the ultimate way to stick it to his former team. Nothing motivates players quite like the opportunity to prove their former organization wrong. The draft compensation would be fascinating to watch unfold. Miami would likely want a first-round pick plus additional assets, while Pittsburgh might try to structure a deal around a second-rounder with conditional picks based on performance. The negotiation would probably come down to how desperately each team wants to make the move happen. What makes this scenario even more plausible is Pittsburgh's history of making bold moves when they smell a championship opportunity. This is the same organization that traded for Antonio Brown when he was at his peak, brought in players like Mike Wallace and Emmanuel Sanders, and has never been afraid to make aggressive moves when they believe they have a championship window. The wild card in all of this is Hill himself. Does he want to go to Pittsburgh? Would he be willing to restructure his contract to make the trade work? And most importantly, does he still have enough left in the tank to justify the investment? At 31, coming off a down season, these aren't insignificant questions. But here's what we know for sure. If the Steelers are serious about pursuing Hill, they wouldn't be doing it unless they believed he could still perform at an elite level. Their coaching staff has had all offseason to evaluate tape. And if they think he's worth the investment, that carries significant weight. The timing of Jeremy Fowler's report, coming right as teams are finalizing their preseason evaluations and making final roster decisions, suggests this situation could develop quickly. If Miami decides they want to move Hill, they'll want to do it soon to give their new receiving core time to gel before the regular season starts. What do you think about this potential blockbuster? Would Hill be the missing piece that puts Pittsburgh over the top, or would the Steelers be better off developing their young receivers and saving the cap space? Drop your thoughts in the comments and smash that like button if you think this trade would shake up the entire AFC.